Feeling exhausted, gaining weight for no reason, or struggling with mood swings? Now, I know it's tempting to point the finger at stress or just chalk it up to getting older. But let me tell you, there's a tiny gland in your neck that might be the real troublemaker. I'm Dr. Will Cole, and I'm here to explain the critical role your thyroid plays in your overall health and well-being. From your metabolism and your energy levels to your mood and even your heart rate. Your thyroid influences it all. Plus, thyroid issues are shockingly common, especially in women. In fact, 1 in 8 women will develop a thyroid condition at some point in their lives, and many don't even know they have it. But don't worry, in this training, we're covering the world of thyroid health. We'll explore its connection to inflammation, common symptoms you shouldn't ignore, and why understanding your thyroid is crucial for your overall well-being. So, are you ready to take control of your health? Let's jump in and get to the root of the problem. Inflammation is an important part of your immune system. Inflammation is a product of your immune system. When inflammation is in balance, it is a wonderful part of human health. The human species wouldn't be here without healthy, balanced, measured inflammation levels. Healthy inflammation kills off viruses. It kills off bacteria. It heals wounds. It's your body's defender. But the problem is when inflammation isn't balanced, when there's a disruption to the homeostasis of inflammation. That is chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is like a forest fire that burns in perpetuity. Chronic inflammation is associated with just about every health problem under the sun. Autoimmune conditions, digestive problems, musculoskeletal issues, heart disease, cancer, to even mental health issues. There's a field of research called the cytokine model of cognitive function. It's researchers looking at how does inflammation even impact how your brain works? How does inflammation impact mental health? So in short, inflammation is not inherently bad. You don't have to fear inflammation. We want healthy, balanced inflammation. And when you don't have it, you're not going to feel well. Your thyroid hormone health is critical for your overall health. Every cell of your body, you're made up of cells, right? 30 trillion human cells. And every cell of your body has a thyroid receptor site. Think of it as sort of a baseball mitt or some sort of hand, if you will, that catches the hormone. If the hormone is the baseball in this analogy, that receptor site is catching that hormone. Every cell of your body needs and wants to catch the thyroid hormone because it needs it to thrive. So because every cell of your body has a thyroid receptor site, thyroid hormone balance is essential for you to feel good. You could go from your top to the bottom of your body and you could associate if your thyroid's off, you're going to feel off. If your thyroid hormones aren't doing well, you're not going to be doing well. So let's start with the brain. When you have low thyroid hormones, that's going to impact things like brain fog, fatigue. It can cause things like depression and anxiety because your brain is thirsty for the thyroid hormones. So when there's a deficiency of that, it can impact cognitive function. I see a lot of people that are diagnosed with mental health issues where it's actually mental health issues driven by thyroid hormone imbalance. Thyroid hormones are essential for cardiovascular or heart health. It's needed for GI motility. A lot of people's digestive problems aren't just driven by digestion alone. It's caused by an underlying thyroid problem that's impacting GI motility or the movement of your gastrointestinal system. So things like chronic constipation or irritable bowel syndrome or IBS or uncomfortable bloating can be at the very least in part driven by thyroid hormone imbalance. Let's go to our skin. A lot of skin issues like dry skin, inflammatory skin issues can be driven by thyroid hormone imbalance. Your metabolism, people that are struggling with losing weight, they're stuck at a plateau no matter what they do to try to lose weight, they just can't. They could look at food and gain weight. Well, we have to rule out an underlying thyroid issue because it's so influential on every system of your body. People's sex drives, people's libidos, they think it's just them and they're broken and there's something wrong with them and there's so much shame and stigma around these topics. Well, and it's not you. It may be an underlying thyroid problem that's driving those symptoms like low libido. So it's important, and it's widely underdiagnosed. It's estimated that 1 in 8 women will have a thyroid problem in their life, and the science is clear. The leading cause of low thyroid function in the West is an autoimmune condition. It's actually the first autoimmune condition ever discovered in science. Its name is Hashimoto's disease, or autoimmune thyroiditis, or autoimmune inflammation of the thyroid. The suffix itis is inflammation. So we're looking at how the thyroid is inflamed because the immune system is attacking it. So in this example, for Hashimoto's disease or autoimmune thyroid problems, the thyroid's actually not the true villain. The thyroid wants to work, but it's being attacked by the immune system. So going and just treating just the thyroid or thinking the thyroid is the enemy, it's not. The thyroid wants to do its job, but it's being subdued. There's an underlying saboteur to your thyroid hormone balance, in this case, an autoimmune issue. Hashimoto's disease is a leading cause of low thyroid function in the West, and until you deal with the underlying inflammation, until you deal with the autoimmune condition that's attacking the thyroid, you're never going to have thyroid hormone balance. While Hashimoto's disease is the leading cause of low thyroid problems in the West, it's not just that. In my years in functional medicine, there's a lot of underlying dysfunctions that can be at play with low thyroid function. Your body predominantly makes something called T4. That's your main thyroid hormone. It gets its name from being a tyrosine protein and 4 iodine molecules attached to that tyrosine protein. Your body makes T4, it can use T4, but it's not as biologically active. Think of it as the more inactive form of your thyroid hormone. Your body has to activate T4. It does that by taking an iodine molecule off of that T4, converting T4 into T3. Think of T3 as your body's gasoline. Every cell of your body needs T3 to function, which is why things like brain fog and fatigue can be driven by low thyroid function. 80% of that conversion of T4 to T3, or that activation of the thyroid hormone, happens in the liver. 20% of that activation of the thyroid hormone happens in the gut. That's why it's not just about the thyroid. We have to look at the full system, the full pathway of how the thyroid is even made active in your body. So we have to assess liver health. We have to assess gut health and microbiome health to understand things like the thyroid function. And we also have to understand it on a cellular level as well. When there's chronic inflammation in the body, it can blunt the thyroid receptor sites, those baseball mitts that's supposed to pick up the thyroid hormone baseball. But when there's chronic inflammation, it can oxidize the cell membranes, making those receptor sites resistant to the thyroid hormone. For some people, their thyroid is producing enough thyroid hormone, but it's a cellular receptor site signaling issue. It's a hormonal signaling issue, something called thyroid resistance. So, to back up a bit, there's a lot of different things that can happen. Hashimoto's disease or autoimmune thyroid issues are the most common, but there's other underlying thyroid issues too that can be at play as to explain why you're having these symptoms, like hair loss, brain fog, weight gain, fatigue, low libido, heart issues, digestive problems. It could be an underconversion of T4 to T3 caused by maybe some liver issues or an underlying gut problems. Some people can have an overconversion of T4 to T3, which you think, well, why wouldn't that be good? There's more gasoline going on. You can have too much of a good thing. A lot of people can have, they're flooding their body with active T3 or higher T3 levels, causing thyroid resistance. It's stressing out those receptor sites, those baseball mitts. And then people can have thyroid resistance. So those are some of the most common things that we see clinically. But guess what? You're not going to catch these things on basic labs. That's why a deeper look, a clinical investigation from a team of functional medicine practitioners needs to be at play when you're assessing the complexity of thyroid hormone health. Because most people are only just getting TSH. They're only just getting thyroid stimulating hormone, which is a brain hormone. A thyroid stimulating hormone. It's your brain telling your thyroid to work more. So if TSH is inversely proportional, it's opposite of your thyroid hormones, meaning high TSH would be indicative of lower thyroid hormone in this example. Low TSH could be a sign of overactive thyroid. So Hashimoto's disease, autoimmune thyroid issues can be both over and underactive. It's most classically seen as autoimmune low thyroid or hypothyroidism, but you can have what's called a thyroid storm or an overactive thyroid function. And then Graves' disease is another autoimmune thyroid issue that is exclusively hyper or overactive autoimmune thyroid issues. The point being, you cannot just hang your hat on basic labs and say, well, ruling out a thyroid issue, because there's a lot of underlying thyroid issues that are going to be missed without the functional medicine perspective on the complexity of the thyroid hormone. And the reality is, it's not just about the thyroid hormone. We have to look at all the different systems of the body that interplay with the thyroid hormone so we can get you feeling your best. Another common symptom of low thyroid hormone function is infertility. We're facing epidemic rising numbers of infertility in the West, and it is far from normal. It's multifaceted infertility. There's many pieces to the puzzle, and every case is different. But low thyroid function is so influential on fertility that it has to be ruled out. If someone's going through infertility or fertility issues, they have to be assessing their thyroid hormone health. And until they deal with their thyroid hormone health, if it is an issue, they can't have optimal fertility. So in summary, let's talk about the thyroid autoimmune connection. The leading cause of low thyroid function in the West is an autoimmune condition. Not all thyroid problems are autoimmune, but most, if not all, thyroid issues are inflammatory in nature. So let me say it another way. Not all inflammatory problems are autoimmune, but all autoimmune problems are inflammatory. So whether you have Hashimoto's disease or Graves' disease, which those are the overtly autoimmune thyroid issues, which is upwards of 90% of low thyroid function. Almost 9 out of 10 people have some sort of autoimmune reactivity going against the thyroid at the very least. But even if it's not that, the other 10% at least has an inflammatory component to their thyroid issue. So no matter where you're at on that inflammation spectrum, we have to address inflammation to have optimal thyroid hormone function. All right, we've covered a lot of ground when it comes to thyroid health and its connection to inflammation. Now, I want you to know that this isn't just a theory. We've helped countless individuals reclaim their health and vitality by addressing these crucial thyroid elements.
That's why I created the Autoimmune Health Reset training. This free training walks you through how to uncover hidden inflammation from home and how to begin healing in a way that's simple, clear, and evidence-based. Click below to watch, because you deserve more than a guess. You deserve answers, and you deserve to feel like yourself again.